Welcome to my miter saw safety class. This is a compound miter saw. This particular saw is a compound sliding miter saw. First thing you want to do when you come up to the saw is you want to make sure your work area is clear. You want to be able to plan your work out. So you want to have plenty of room, you want to have your material readily available, and you want to have your trash can here close by so you aren't throwing your scrap stuff on the floor. Next thing you do is to unlock the saw. Most miter saws will have a pin right here of release to be able to unlock the saw. There's also a tightening lever back here that will stop it from sliding back and forth depending on what you're cutting. Now, if you're just going to cut straight cross cuts, you want to take your guards here and bring them in as close as you can. So they're good and tight. The further you have these in, the less problem you're going to have with material flying off. So when you're cutting it, you have an area just like this. You have a backstop on here so you're good to go. Another thing you want to be careful of is you want to make sure your hands are no closer than 4 inches to the saw blade. So something like this, you would put your hand on the material and grasp the back of the guard. This particular case like this, you would put your hand here and push up against the card so it won't go anywhere. But you want to make sure that these two backs are as close as you can get them. This way it won't go anywhere. Now, what I did there on the cut was I started it in the up position. And then I brought the saw down. And after I was through with the cut, I pulled the trigger off and let it come to a stop before I brought it back. The one thing that I see you students do is you'll start the saw in this motion right here. What it's going to do is kick. So you want to avoid that. You want to start the saw and release the trigger, wait till the blades absolutely stop to bring it back up. If I'm going to make a miter cut, I'm going to pull these, I'm going to separate these. This is especially important when you do a bevel cut. But we'll do a miter cut here first. Miter cut is just basically an angle cut. This one happens to be a 45-degree. Now what they have here is they have what's called this gauge right here. It gives you the degrees. And there's what's called detents in here. And these are these little things that you hear when you're moving the saw. Do that. Those are preset positions. There's one at 45 degrees, which is the most common. We have one at 31.6 degrees, and I'll get back to that in a few. 22.5 degrees, which is half of a 45. 90 degrees, so on and so forth. So for me to set up and cut at 45 degrees, what I will do is lock it in. Make sure that I have at least, my hand is at least 4 inches away from the blade. Hold it against. I'll start the saw up. Wait till it stops. Now you notice I don't bring it out and in. With something like this, this is a plunge cut. I can just come straight down because the material is not that wide. So that's not a problem. Any questions on that so far?
No, sir.
Okay, so what we'll do now is I'm going to go with a bevel cut. Bevel cut, how you do that is you have this lever in the back. Here's your gauge right here. We'll take it to whatever gauge that you're looking for. Let's do this particular one at 22.5 degrees. Now you can see the importance of these back gauges to be out of the way. Otherwise you're going to cut right through the aluminum. You're going to mess up your saw. So it's quite important that these are back out of the way. Here again, holding my hand up against the material, wedging it against the back. Going to start the saw in the fold up position. Wait till the saw blade stops, and I'll pull it back up. This is a bevel cut. This one here is at 22.5 degrees. This one here is at 45 degrees. So you can all see the difference there. Questions on that?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, so I have this set at 22.5 degrees. So I will go ahead and set the miter to 22.5 degrees. And we'll do what's called a compound cut. So the bevel is going to be at 22.5 degrees and the miter is going to be at 22.5 degrees. We call compound miter cut. So you have two different angles on the same cut. This is an example of a miter cut. This is for like if this were crown molding and we were up in the ceiling at a 90 degrees. See how this is a 45, 45. And it's preset here on your saw, 31.6 degrees on your miter and 33 degrees on your bevel. So it shows it here on your bevel and it shows it right here in your detents. So there's a lock area right here. When you get your saw, you're going, why is there one at 31.6 degrees? That's kind of a weird number to have. That's what it's for.
Is wood and aluminum the only two things that you can cut with a miter saw?
You can cut plastic with it. Anything soft is what these are designed for. Okay? Let's walk over here and we'll take a look at this. This here is a miter saw. There's no compound. We will not do any kind of a miter on it or a, what am I looking for?
Bevel.
Yeah, we'll not do a bevel cut. Just do a miter cut. So this is your bare bones basic. Okay? Now what I have here is a stop, and it comes with all saws. It will pop right out. The reason why I have this stop on here is because this wooden dowel, I want to be able to hold this wooden dowel good and solid against here. The reason being, if I were to do a miter cut on this, and I were to cut it this way, what it wants to do is have a tendency to pull the dowel towards the blade. It will take off shooting and maybe pull your hand into it. So you want to use some kind of a clamp system on there. This way it makes it for a good clean cut. It's not walking, you don't have to worry about it. You're all lined up. Okay, any questions on that?
Is this like the basic, like one that you'd find on a job site, or like a lot of them are going to have the compound miter?
If you were framing, this is something that you would probably find on the job site. Most of the saws these days are going to be a compound miter, and most of them now are sliding because it gives you the flexibility of cutting anything up to a 2x10. So one thing I want you to be aware of is I want to make sure that you all, whenever you're using a miter saw, to make sure the base is fastened down. Make sure it's not walking, it's not loose. One thing you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up chasing it. Another thing is you want to make sure that you have plenty of area here for a feed on. For example, this one right here, if I were to cut anything a length, once I got it halfway cut through, it would want to fold and it would bind in the saw. So this is something you'd find on the job site to where these are going to fold out, the rollers are going to fold out, and there's going to be plenty of room for runoff on there. Okay? You never want to have another person hold the material while you're cutting it because it's going to get bound and it's going to want to jump back at you. So you always want to make sure you're clamped on here and you have a flat level surface. Okay, any questions about that? Yes.
Is there a way to safely cut a dowel without having a stopper? Or will you always have a stopper?
I would always have this on here because this dowel has a tendency to roll and move. Okay? This way you're going to get a lot truer cut because all it has to do is just walk a little bit and you're not going to get that cut. As opposed to something that's a rectangle, square, what have you. This way you'll get that point cut. Miter saws are all about getting the perfect cut. Yes?
How do you fasten the base of it to whatever you're working on?
Well, this one right here is bolted in. Okay, this one right here, as you can see, here, let me unplug this. They're all going to have 4 holes here. So what I usually will do is get a big piece of plywood or a big plate, tabletop, and I will go ahead and bolt those into them. Okay, now another thing I want to show you over here on this saw. Come on over here. Okay, back over here, you can see it's important that the saw, if anything, sits a little bit higher than the feed out. What we had before is we had to shim this up because the table's set a little bit higher than the saw. So once you would cut through, what it would do is it would pinch and stop the blade or throw the material. So you want to make sure, like this right here, you see we have room, that's fine. This way, once it cuts, it will drop, it will make for a nice clean cut.
You're good.
Okay, so what I would like to do is sum up. First thing is make sure you always wear your PPE. Safety glasses, in this particular case your hard hat, ear protection, and gloves. Okay? That's the #1 thing. Make sure, just to sum things up, your area, your work area is clean. You have an idea of what you're doing. You have a game plan. You have an area there to throw your scrap away. Make sure your feet are free from debris. You have good lighting. And we haven't even talked about the dust system, but make sure that area is cleaned up after you're through. I want to thank you all for participating in this little video, and hopefully you all get a good lesson out of this and you'll all be safe with your power tools. Thank you very much.
Compton G!